Welcome back, Algebra Half. Lesson 3 is called Subtraction, and then we'll play around with some addition and subtraction patterns. All right, if you finished reading Lesson 1, we're talking about addition. We learned two terms, addend and sum. I believe you've learned these in the past. An addend is a number you add to get to the sum. A sum is the name we use for a solution in an addition problem, right? So down here, 175 and 257 are addends. What's the answer? Well, to solve that, normally we make it vertical, right? So I do it every time. 175 plus 257. You beat me, good for you. 7 plus 5 is 12. 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 5 is 13. We have 432. 432 to finish. That is called the sum, and these are called addends. Now, in 7-6, you do not learn the terms when we do subtraction problems, and I think it's because of how complicated the words are. In subtraction, you take the subtrahend from the minuend to get, and you know this word, the solution in a subtraction problem is the difference, right? The minuend, take away the subtrahend, is the difference. Minuend, subtrahend, difference. Same thing with a subtraction problem. It's not so easy trying to do this horizontally. If you do, cool. I don't know how you do it, but there might be a way. But you line these up vertically. 432 minus 257, subtraction, or sometimes we call it a minus problem, but I don't think it sounds as intelligent when we call it that. In a subtraction problem, we take away to find what's called the difference. Solving vertically, can you do this? Why don't you try this on a piece of scratch paper and see if you get it right? We have to do a little thing, what we call borrowing, don't we? Because 2 is too small to have 7 taken away from it. So you take 10 from 13, or from the 3. That becomes a 2. This becomes a 12. That's all I'll give you. Ten seconds. 5 seconds. Of course, I can't crack the whip and make you do this if I'm doing something else right now and you're watching this on your own. But I tell you, the more you go through these reps, when I ask you to do them, boy, the smarter you'll get. These first lessons, while trivial, are important in building the blocks that you need to be successful in this class, and it can get tough if you don't know these things. So, subtract 432 and 257. We get, as the book says, 175 for a solution. What do we call a solution in a subtraction problem? Difference. What do we call a solution in an addition problem? The sum, right? And that was in this problem. Let me find it. Where is it? 175 plus 257. Of course, I could solve it myself, but I'm curious where I found it in the book. Not sure, but we solved it earlier, and it was 432, I think. Let's just go with it. Let's say that's right. All right. Now, oh, you know why that was easy? Because we just did what's called an inverse operation. Inverse. Why do we call it that? I don't know if you remember that term. Inverse operation means an operation, add, subtract, multiply, or divide, that is the inverse of another. It reverses it. So I just took the minuend or I got the minuend by adding the subtrahend and the difference. Subtrahend, difference equaled the minuend. Because subtraction and addition are inverse operations, and therefore you can get all sorts of fun patterns when you have them. And this is the missing number problems. We've done these before. So example 3.3, top of page 12, we have find the missing number. 472 plus what is 628? What kind of a problem is it? Addition. So we call this an addend. We also call this an addend. What do we call this? The sum. In an addition problem, it's pretty simple because these can get turned around and it's still going to equal what we need it to. The missing number is an addend. So we find the difference between the sum and the other addend. We find by subtracting 628 and 472. What do we get? Sorry for the diagonal. 5, 12, 5. 156 is our missing number. A is 156. Right? We found the missing addend by subtracting the sum and the other addend, taking the bigger number on top so we could do it. All right? Addition missing number problems aren't too bad. It's kind of the same even though we're missing the first addend instead of the second one. We have the sum. Once again, take your bigger number, subtract the smaller number, and you will get, according to the book, 236. So the missing number is 236. Everyone with me so far? Pause the video and raise your hand and say, I'm lost. Mr. Otto, help me if you need to. Now we got what kind of a problem? Subtraction. And in subtraction, we've got the minuend, the subtrahend, and a difference. How do I find the missing subtrahend? This is a pattern, and it might help you. We did this in 7-6 to write down in a subtraction problem with a missing second number, or the missing subtrahend if you want to be fancy and use that word. How do I find the missing number? We got this turned around all the time. You are not going to add this and this. You are not going to take this from this. What you're going to do is take, I believe, 526 minus 329. So you take the two numbers you got and take the smaller from the bigger again. So we basically rearrange and we put the x down here and the 329 up here, and 526 minus 329. Shortcut. It's kind of like when you're watching a food TV show and it's already done out of the oven. I'm going to do that right now, and it is 197. You should never get this wrong. Do you know why? Because we can check. How can you check this problem? What do you think? You're going to take your 197 that you claim is x, and you plug it back in to where this is. And you take 526 and you subtract a subtrahend that is 197, which you said was the missing number. And you solve. And you solve. And you solve. And you solve. And it has to look like it was supposed to. Check your answer. You'll never get these wrong. 3.6, top of page 13. Find the missing number. P. What is P in a subtraction problem here? Don't get fooled that it's horizontal. The P is the minuend, and we're taking away a known subtrahend to get a difference. So what is the missing minuend? The pattern here is to add. We actually add to solve a subtraction missing number problem when it's the minuend that's missing. If that's something you're going to have a hard time keeping straight, write it in your math notes, okay? Write those in as a shortcut to remember. Missing number problem with a missing minuend. You might need to define these two and have what I have here. We need to add the subtrahend and the difference. Boy, this is easier to explain when we got those terms now, I think. It really is. So 423 plus 287 gives us our biggest number. Let's make it green. And P is worth, it's got to be bigger than the other two numbers, and it is 710. Good? Questions? Let me know if you have any questions. They throw some dollars and cents at you. Don't let that fool you. You should remember how to deal with those. But why don't you do A and then pick 2 from B through E? That means you'll do 3 total. A, pick 2 from B through E. Good luck.